Everyone's been waiting for it. Time to announce who won the tickets. Also, we're going to hear what a scout has to say about the Miami Dolphins. What is up, fans? I'm not going to beat around the bush. I am going to get right into it. I'm going to announce the winner of the tickets. I got 3 winners that are going to win 2 tickets to the Atlanta Falcons taking on the Miami Dolphins in Miami, preseason August 11th. First, though, we do have to shout out a huge thank you to John Fiornio. Apologize for butchering your name. Anthony Parlamento and Michelle Migliardi. Thank you guys so very much for donating the tickets to the channel and donating the tickets for these people to be able to win them. You guys are amazing, and thank you guys so very much. I wanted to make a point to give you guys a very well earned and deserved thank you. And whoever wins, thanks you as well. 623 of you beautiful human beings signed up to win these tickets. I'm going to hit this wheel 3 times. I'm going to write down the names, and then as soon as I'm done shooting this video, I'm going to email you letting you know you won. When you get back to me, I'm going to send you the tickets, and I hope you have a fantastic game, and I hope the Dolphins beat the tar out of the Atlanta Falcons and show why they are going to be a very good team. So let's start. First person who won the tickets is EWDJR. Now, I do have an Excel spreadsheet with the names of the people and their emails. So EWDJR, you are my first winner. Let's hit that wheel again. And I did remove you so you can't win twice. Who is the second winner of a pair of tickets to a preseason game? James is the other. And then third and the best, I guess. I don't know. Last tickets are going to... There's so many that this thing is glitching. Jamie Gudino Cabrera. Congratulations, guys, for winning these tickets. Like I said, I will be emailing you as soon as I'm done recording this video, and I hope you guys have a fantastic time at the game. And one last thing before we get into the meat of the matter, I do have to shout out a new patron in Hammer. Bud, thank you so much for joining the Patreon. Anyone that would like to join the Patreon is linked in the description. Also, if you want to be a member, you hit the join button next to the subscribe button, especially with the season coming up and the live streams. Members, you get some cool stuff for the live streams, some cool icons and all that stuff. And Patreons, you're going to get extended versions of film breakdowns and stuff like that. So again, you guys get some special stuff for either one that you choose. So let's jump into what this video is now about. And Omar Kelly came out with this really good article where a key analyst and an anonymous scout evaluated the Miami Dolphins. So we're going to go over this article. It came out about 3-4 days ago, but I thought it was so interesting. I tagged it and I wanted to talk about it today, especially because tomorrow the rookies are going to be coming to camp, and then next Tuesday the vets, and then camp's going to start. So now my videos now are more about previewing training camp and give you an idea of what team we're going to see on the field. So he says oftentimes the best assessment / evaluation / critique you can get is one where what is said can't come back to bite that insider in the backside. Essentially what he's saying is, being that this person is anonymous, they could say whatever they want. They could say, oh, this guy sucks, he's horrible, he's garbage, and there's no fear of it coming back and biting him in the butt, especially if, that team that he works for or whatever wants to bring that player in. That's one reason for anonymity is important in the world of journalism, and sports reporting is no exception. I'm a big fan of the super early season preview from outlets like Athlon Sports because of their anonymous scouting section. I usually find them filling and informative, but this year I found myself quite disappointed with how lazy, Athlon Sports scouting the Dolphins section was. Okay. That's why I felt it was important to analyze in word for word to provide some context feedback. Buckle up. You can find my takes in italics. So he essentially gives the idea, he puts what they say and then he says what he thinks. So we'll see what they say. I'll give you my opinion. And then I'll read you Omar Kelly's opinion, right? So opposing scouts size up Miami. So he has in a quote, Tua Tagovailoa concussion issues are really serious. Yes. You get 2 concussions in a season, and it kind of knocks you out for, multiple games. It's a serious thing. Concussions are nothing to joke about. I had a serious concussion when I was younger, and to this day, I get blinding migraines where I can't see anything out of my right peripheral. So migraines aren't anything to joke about. Omar Kelly chimes in and says, while this is a valid concern, I wonder if they say the same thing about Pittsburgh's Kenny Pickett, who also suffered 2 concussions last season. I looked and they don't. The magazine writes, Pickett showed enough to believe his upside as a starting quarterback, which is rubbish considering he threw 7 touchdowns and 9 interceptions as a rookie quarterback. Okay, Omar. Okay. I will say this. My only pushback on that, Omar, is Kenny Pickett wasn't knocked out. Right? If Tua's 2 concussions were like his second one, where he wasn't knocked out and you really didn't know he had a concussion, then yes. But that first concussion was so bad, that's why he is now the poster boy for the concussions. And that is why so many people have that big if around it because of how bad that first concussion was. If they were like just he banged his head and he kind of was like a little lackadaisical and they took him out, then they probably wouldn't be so severe on it. But the fact that he had the hand motion and he was out, that's why. But I see where you're coming from because there is a little bit of let's focus on this and not on that. This is from the article. Obviously, Tua got cleared, but he's susceptible to things now beyond the availability issue. You have to worry about his long-term well-being. I will say this, and Tua has seen multiple experts. It's like after his first concussion, he went to Detroit. I think he went to Pittsburgh. He saw experts on the matter. One said he has there's no fear of CTE, and 2, he's not more susceptible than anybody else in getting concussions. So that part, and this is what Omar had to say. That's a fair criticism I've heard since Tua suffered a potential career-threatening hip injury during his final season at Alabama. I personally know 6 teams that took him off their draft board fearing he wouldn't last longer than 6 seasons in the NFL. It's a thing. It's definitely a thing. Now, this is from the article. I like this format, Omar. I like this format a lot. When Tua is healthy, he's very accurate. His arm strength isn't bad at all. He can get the ball where it needs to go. That's the thing that people underestimate about Tua, right? And that's the thing that people harp on with Tua. And I've talked about this in nauseum. Is Tua Josh Allen? Is Tua Justin Herbert? Is Tua Patrick Mahomes? No. But if you're good enough at the other things, or if you're top-notch elite at the other things, and, Ryan Fitzpatrick said this, that isn't as important. Like, take Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was a cerebral assassin, right? He would carve your defense up in his mind, and he would call audibles. I remember my dad watching the Dolphins play the Colts, and he hated it. And he used to scream at the TV, just snap the ball, Peyton, because he's always audibling, Omaha, Omaha, and doing all this stuff. And half the time, he's not even changing the play, but he's a very cerebral with that. His arm strength wasn't great. He even said his arm strength wasn't great. Same thing with Tom Brady, right? He didn't have a rocket arm. Joe Montana, he didn't have a rocket arm. Drew Brees, they didn't have rocket arms, but they had the other things that were the intangibles. That's where Tua kind of gets lumped in. He doesn't have that rocket arm, But like this anonymous source said, our scout, he can get the ball where it needs to go. If it's out routes outside the number, I can show you play on play of him throwing darts to the left and to the right. If it comes to, posts, or you've seen him, Tyreek Hill had to slow up a little bit for the catch, but he got the ball to him. It was a touchdown. He can get it to him. And this is what Omar had to say. It's good to hear a scout clarify this, because some of the anti-Tua crowd will still make the claim as if he didn't lead the NFL in big plays last year and yards per attempt. Those same people will say, yeah, but it was Tyreek Hill, and yeah, it was this, and yeah. And I've come to the conclusion, and I've stopped pushing back on them, and I'm going to stop pushing back on them on Twitter, because, for a mental standpoint, you just need to just, because it's too much. I'll say this and I'll say it again. Look at the stats when Tua was on the field, when he wasn't. It is what it is. It worked. He led the league, regardless of who's should get responsibility for it. It worked. Dolphins had a top 4 passing game. Let's just move on. This is from the article. Tyreek Hill is worth every penny, and then in quotes from Omar Kelly, ain't that the truth? And 100%. Some people said we should have never traded for Tyreek Hill, and we should have used those picks on this and that. You're out of your mind. Tyreek Hill is, when on the field, just ridiculous. What a deep threat that guy is. 100%. Jalen Waddle doesn't get as much attention as Tyreek Hill, but he's for real. Yes, that 1-2 tandem that we have is the best in the NFL. Like, what Tyreek Hill can do and what Jalen Waddle can do are just, the fact that we have them both on the same team is just ridiculous. And if Robbie Chosen is anything near what I'm hearing from minicamp and OTAs, this offense is going to be dangerous, because you can't double any of them, because all 3 of those guys are speedsters. Like, it's going to be ridiculous. Omar said this is also true. Waddle led the NFL in yards per reception last year, 18.1, delivered his second straight 1,000-yard receiving season. We have our number 1 receiver. We have 2 number 1 receivers. Tyreek Hill won't be here in 3 years. He's got 2 years. He's got this year and next year, and then he won't be here, because then we got to pay him like $20 to $30 million, but we can cut him and save a lot. Jalen Waddle's the guy. He's the guy. Now he's talking about the offensive line. Scouts criticized Dolphins' offensive line. Terron Armstead was a strong investment at left tackle last season, but Austin Jackson was a liability in pass protection on the other side. Yes, but Austin Jackson barely played. I think he played, 2 games? But I will say this, Austin Jackson, I'm not giving him the benefit of the doubt, but I'm enjoying hearing the things I'm hearing about him and seeing how he is taking this way, way seriously. That's not English, but take it and put it in your back pocket. This is what Omar had to say. Jackson played 84 offensive snaps over the course of 2 games. He wasn't healthy for either of them because of his ankle injury. This isn't an excuse, it's a fact. But I'll be watching that pass pro closely during training camp. Omar, same page. Me and you are on the same page when it comes to him. And I'm going to be giving you the reports from him as well, and everyone else, because I know we're going to be focusing on that offensive line. This is from the article. I don't think their interior line of Liam Eichenberg, Connor Williams, and Robert Hunt really is good enough. That's why Isaiah Wynn is taking snaps at left guard. Isaiah Wynn's going to be the starting left guard. I feel it in my bones. And then Omar says, that's a fair criticism. I'm not sure Miami has the ideal guards. They need to make the outside zone scheme work, and that's not just on Eichenberg. I often wonder if Hunt, who happens to be an impending free agent, is a good fit for this scheme. Williams barely excelled at center last year, and there was no mention of this in the interior breakdown. What an oversight. I would disagree with Williams. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I read that wrong. Williams clearly, not barely, Williams clearly excelled at center last season, and there was no mention of that. Yeah, I don't understand why. We'll see about Robert Hunt. If he doesn't fit this, I will say this, if Mike McDaniel and this Miami Dolphin offense continues to excel They went from like 22nd to 4th, the passing mostly. If it continues to get better and the offense continues to put big numbers, whatever Mike McDaniel wants, he's going to get. So if he looks back after this season, say we win 11, 12 games and we win a playoff game and Mike McDaniel's taking us in that right direction, if he looks and says, Robert Hunt's not really, what we need at that position, we need a more mobile guy to play the outside, he might not get re-signed, which is going to suck, but we'll see if it happens. Now, is Miami run game rock solid? So this is from the article. Mike McDaniel showed me a lot last year. He's a very smart coach. The running game is rock solid with Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr. Yes. There are some things that I think are misleading. Like when you look at yards per carry, you see how high they are for, Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson. But if you look at the full season, there were a stint of games where we couldn't run the ball if our life depended on it. Now, was that the offensive line or was that the running backs? I think it was a combination. But also you got to worry about the health. This is what Omar Kelly had to say. What does rock solid mean exactly? Mostert did average 4.9 yards per attempt last season, and Wilson averaged 4.7. But can the pair develop a top 16 rushing game in 2023? That's my biggest concern about the Dolphins offense heading into this season. Will McDaniel commit to the run, balance out Miami's pass-obsessed offense? And why no mention of rookie Devon Achane? Devon Achane is going to be nice. I'm very excited to see him play. I'm very excited to see him match up with Mostert and Wilson and possibly another running back. I'm not going to name any because obviously the Dolphins have tried 2 separate times to add another running back. Is there a possibility of adding another one? Maybe. I don't know. But Devon Achane is going to be very nice. Breaking down Dolphins defense. Now, this is what the article says. Jalen Phillips still has more upside to reach as a pass rusher, 100%. 100%. I think he would have had double-digit sacks. His rookie year, he had, 8.5? 8? But they kept taking him off the field, and they kept dropping him back into coverage. It was driving me nuts. And then they did it again last year, and he had 7.5 sacks. Driving me nuts. They need to keep him on the field, and they need to have him go after the quarterback. He has the range and the speed. I've seen him go after the quarterback, not get there quick enough so the quarterback gets the ball off, and then run another 15, 20 yards back to make the tackle. Ridiculous. And this is what Omar had to say. Indeed, he does, considering Phillips, who has recorded 15.5 sacks in the past 2 seasons, missed on finishing nearly a dozen sacks last season. He'll likely learn to close out plays this season. Like I said, almost there. This is from the article. The Dolphins are in contact talks off and on with Christian Wilkins. I think they are going to pay him, which makes sense, 100%. Bradley Chubb is arguably their best defensive player overall. Omar Kelly put, really? With on all caps, question mark, exclamation point in a little box. He's one of the best all-around front 7 players in the league. And then Omar says, that's high praise for Chubb, which makes me reevaluate what we initially saw and his body of work in Denver, which wasn't overwhelming. You guys know how I feel about Christian Wilkins. I made a whole video about it. I'd love to re-sign him, but for the smart money, I'm not paying him as much as Dexter Lawrence and Quinnen Williams. They produce more, especially when it came to the pass rush side. But obviously Christian Wilkins is the best run-stopping defensive tackle in the NFL. The Bradley Chubb stuff, I saw high potential in him. He's just got to get it together, and I think with the addition of Vic Fangio, we'll see it. Assessing Miami's secondary, Xavier Howard has something to prove this year, 100%. Go look at 2020. 10 interceptions. If you look at his rankings when it came to receptions, when it came to yards, when it came to he was the best corner in the NFL. Like, he should have won defensive MVP that year. Like, he was the best and then fell off. So he's got a lot to prove, especially with the money that he's about to get paid or not, because he's probably going to get cut, unfortunately. Money's always a motivator for Howard, who is due $18.5 million next season. Howard has a $3 million roster bonus due next year, and $4 million in that salary becomes guaranteed on March 18th. There's no way he sees that money without having a dynamic season, which I believe he will have. 100. I told you guys this. The Dolphins can cut him or make it a post June 1st designation and get like 16 million in cap space. They're negative 31. There's two guys that they can cut next year that can be easily replaced in Emmanuel Ogbah and Xavier Howard, and their negative 31 cap space is gone, and they're in the green. So he's got it, like Omar said, he's got to show up. This is from the article. Adding Jalen Ramsey, the rich keep getting richer. He is in the same category in my mind as Xavier Howard, because I'm hearing people call Jalen Ramsey washed. I'm hearing people say his last year with the Rams where he was just lazy and he didn't look like he wanted to do much. There was a lot of negative talk coming out about him, and I think this is also a prove-it year for him as well. So I'm excited to see what he can do. Omar said that's it. No addressing his alleged decline play last season with the Rams. No talk about Ramsey teaming up with Howard for the best cornerback duo in the NFL. Again, just, poster board material for him and X just to put it on. They talk about, this is from the article, Emmanuel Ogbah's career is declining. 9 sacks, then he got hurt. He's in the same boat as Xavier Howard. He can get cut and the Dolphins can save a lot of money. So if he wants to remain on the team, he's got to play the full year and really get after it. This is what Omar had to say. This seemed like a throw in their statement, the lack of research context. Ogbah had one injury marred season last year because of a torn tricep injury. Where is the proof he's on decline? Just his age, 29. I'm guilty of that. I'll take some guilt on that. Then they say Brandon Jones, Javon Holland are one of the best tandems in the NFL. I love Brandon Jones. I think Brandon Jones is a good in-the-box safety, and I think he gets after the quarterback in the running. You blitz Brandon Jones, it's a sack. Like, I think he's fantastic at that. But when it comes to coverage, he's just not that good. You know what I'm saying? Like, he makes me nervous if we're going to drop him into coverage or if we're playing a too high safety set. I think he's going to get burnt. Or if it's a post route or corner route, I think he's going to get caught up and give it up. He just worries me back there. This is what Omar has to say, and this is the last thing he says. The fact Jones' name was said/written first is a bit fishy. Makes this claim seem disingenuous. I'll believe it when I see it. Not only do I wonder if Jones will be healthy for the start of the 2023 season, but I also wonder if Vic Fangio's defense, which has created quite a few dynamic safeties, fits Jones' skill set. That's the other thing we got to remember, this Vic Fangio defense and how it works and the players he looks for and all that stuff, because he also might not be done with adding players, and we'll see. I have a whole video talking about what the Dolphins could possibly do when the teams have to go from 90 to 53. There's no more 90 to 80 to 70 to 53. It's right to 53. So it's going to be very interesting. But that's what Omar had to say. And if you could tell, and again, I haven't read this article, so it's not like I read it and then I had my ideas. I literally would read what the article said and then I talked to you. And for a good portion of this, me and Omar are on the same page. What are your thoughts? What do you think about what this article had to say? And what's your thoughts on this team? Tomorrow the rookies arrive. I'm going to make a video on that. We're going to talk about the rookies and, my thoughts on those guys and everything. If more news happens today, you'll get another video. I don't see any, the only news we can probably be waiting for by 4:00 is Saquon. Because supposedly Pollard isn't going to, extend. He'll probably play on the franchise tag. Josh Jacobs said he is not playing on the franchise tag, so we'll see what happens there. So a lot of it depends on Saquon. You saw Joe Mixon took a pay cut. There's a lot that's going on, and I don't think Dalvin Cook will make a decision or be signed later today. I think it's going to be more of a process. Maybe later on this week we'll hear some more rumbling. But I'll give you more news and information. So now, see you guys tomorrow. Rookies arrive, and camp is getting here, guys. It's getting here. But like usual, stay classy. Offense up.